run the gallery at Snösätra. Maybe you want to tell people like what's been going on and what time you open at least.
Det är ett galleri för de som har målat på väggen tidigare som inte har fått samma publicitet och uppmärksamhet som åren tidigare. Så vi har öppnat ett galleri för dem här och även för andra konstnärer. Och öppettiderna ser man bäst om man går med på Bevara Snösätra Gallery på Facebook och blir medlem där, så lägger upp tiderna och uppdaterar där hela tiden. Välkomna!
Basically, it's really free and really loose. Sometimes it's open, sometimes it's closed. Check out the website. It's probably down here somewhere. I'm gonna write it in. All right? That was cool.
We got a warehouse.
Come, let's check out what's inside here. Cans and cans and cans. Let's get busy. So, I normally start off with the same question. Who are you and how did you end up in Stockholm's techno scene?
Wow. I was born and raised in Stockholm. Spent a few years abroad, moving about.
Your name first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fritte. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I moved around a little bit in the U.S., as you probably can hear in my accent.
All right. Where did you live?
Florida, Colorado, Dallas, Texas. So yeah, I moved about.
How long ago was this?
Put together, it would be like a period of two years, about give or take. Yeah, 2.5 maybe.
Okay.
So anyway, I came back to Stockholm, and I've been working a lot as a bouncer in the U.S. while I was traveling about, living in different places. So I got into the bouncer gig in Sweden back again. Actually, I started before, but not full time. And one day I was working in Lidingö on that Foresta Hotel, with the fancy schmancy hotel where the Beatles once stayed and stuff like that. So there was a guy who was like drunk and obnoxious basically, and we used to put him outside. He came back the day after and said, I'm making parties here in Lidingö. The way you guys put me out, please, I want that in my parties. So we basically got recruited by throwing somebody out. And your old friend Ola, when you used to do Socially Hazardous, he worked at those parties in the bar.
In Lidingö?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was. They used to utilize the venue Vianet, the restaurant there. But he worked in the bar there. And one day he posed a question. It was for one of your Halloween parties, I believe. It was like the first time I worked for you guys in Social Hazardous. Right. That's when we met the first time.
Was it down by by Södermalmsstrand, by the water there?
No, it was the one in Ranhammars-vägen. You rented that Magasin 15, which was then Art of Sound.
Yeah. That was actually, I organized that. It was my first party that I organized by myself.
Okay.
Because no one else wanted to do it, so I was like, fuck it, I'll just take care of it.
So that was like how I got into the techno scene. And all of a sudden, Ola called me one day and said, there's a guy who's going to open up a venue, which is going to be, just his own parties. Would you be interested? And that's when I met Gandalf the first time. That was Kuthuset, the one that is now Nick's Eventhuset in Västberga.
I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah.
I actually got denied by you a couple of times. Like, you don't got no member card. I was like, I didn't know I need a member card.
Now, so that's how I got into it. And, I can't right now, off the top of my head, remember how many years, but we're talking 15 years maybe?
At least, yeah.
Something like that, 16 years. And then, you used to have Blommor och Bin in the summertime and stuff like that. So I used to go to those, work there with you guys, Långholmen,
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, so you talk about 15 years of doing it. I mean, what's like the craziest thing you've seen at a party? What's the craziest party you've been to? And something like that.
That's hard to peg because I've been working a lot of the fetish, gay scene parties, and you can see some freaky stuff on that side of the sexual spectrum. And then, you have also freaky stuff when you see people, just getting off their meds, so to speak.
Or on their meds.
Yeah, on their meds. I've seen really sad stories. I've seen really happy stories. And I guess the contrast of it is what makes it so, kind of beautiful. It's hard to say. Festivals tend to be more emotional because it's a longer period. You interact with people in a different way. It becomes a little bit more personal. Now I've been so long in the scene, so a lot of my interactions are personal because you know the people, a lot of the same people, and but I also see a change in the scene, and I actually kind of predicted this change a few years ago. There was a seminar at Kulturgården when Anthony Drone ran that place, where the cops came, and it was like a seminar. I think it was Drakenberg that held in technology and made the recordings, and where I predicted that we see more and more gentrification over time. And I think the height so far, what I've seen, has been this summer. And funny enough, the pandemic, I think, helped with that gentrification of the scene. It's not, it used to be like 90% techno buffs and, 10% regular people, friends off.
Yeah.
But now we see a much more heavy gravitation of gentrification pulling in. And that also brings normal problems that we didn't have before in the techno scene.
I agree. Yeah, I've seen that too. I mean, people have no other place to go. I mean, the underground scene is some people the last ones, the only ones willing to kind of break the rules and do things that you weren't supposed to do this summer.
Yeah, and people were so starved in having a party, so when they found out there was a party in this forest, they came in their Chanel suits and all kinds of stuff, and just got stuck in the mud. It's just funny. You see this girl standing there, in her stilettos, dancing with her heels down in the mud, pretty much, and she's standing there dancing, and you're like, she's gonna cry tomorrow when she sees that her $1,200 heels are just ruined,
But in general, do you like the music? Is it something that are you entertained, or you just see it as a straight job?
In the beginning, I was just like, okay, I didn't really get minimal that much because, Kirtus was almost just, minimal. It was Kovacs and Alex that played, Boman that played every night pretty much. Axel Boman, sorry, my bad. And Kovacs, they played, back to back all the time. And a lot of that was actually kind of fun because a lot of the popular DJs now, like Jesse Granqvist, she's like 18, coming there like the first time coming to a techno club, kind of. Yeah. And it was I've seen these people grow, and it's it's beautiful. It's nice. It's nice. Yeah. So I like that. So in the beginning I had a hard time for some of the music. Yeah. But now, I do enjoy the music. Of course, I have genres I prefer rather than others. Yeah. Hardstyle might not be my favorite. Well, it's the favorite of many others. I usually say like hardstyle, it's beautiful the first 30 seconds. And then it just becomes like, and it's just too much for me.
I can take 30 minutes and I'm done. I usually say I'm too old and too boring for that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wanted to talk to you because usually you're sober at these things. Most people are usually drinking or affected in some way or other. So it's good to get a sober perspective from someone who's seen it happen over the years. And like you said, it has changed. It has become a bit more. You include people from normal society, and of course you're going to get normal problems, like you said.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say there's been more drama at parties lately.
More drama. Not necessarily, not always physical. Yes, we see a race, a bump up in the physical aspect of pure violence, but we also see much more of intimidation, like threats of violence, stuff like that, which was probably not. The problems you had like 10 years ago, that was jealousy. Somebody saw somebody look at somebody, or there was like a discussion usually between couples, or two men got into each other because one was hitting on the other woman. that's not the same issue today. Not only, yeah, of course it happens today as well, but it's not overrepresentative. It's more like, how should I say this? You know, you see people come there that shouldn't maybe be there, and at some point they bring a mentality that is, you know, more like, oh, you bumped into me for the third time, instead of going like, hey buddy, you know, take it easy. Yeah. You go like, oh, what are you gonna do about it? You get that normal mentality. But instead of everybody being there for the music or for the joy of it, it's become more of the standard problem. Like, this is my space. If you come in here, you know, you're gonna have you have this guy that's just like, he's, you know, obviously in a different dimension than you and I are doing at this point, and the person being bumped into has more of a regular mainline, you know, mentality, and it doesn't play well, you know, unfortunately.
I understand that, but from your perspective, what do you think that can be done to kind of help or stop some of these issues that you guys have to deal with?
Hard truth. I think it's not becoming so much underground anymore. We're talking about bigger venues, more people, more circulation, more. There's upside with all that. That's acceptance. But with acceptance comes a price, and it's gentrification. So, do we want the authorities off our back? Keep on doing this, because soon, you know, you will have techno freaks that grew up listening to techno, sitting making decisions about policies for the city. But what I think would be healthier, and this is funny coming from my mouth because, you know, I obviously work in some kind of capacity for order. I've actually been looking at doing this myself. I talked to different promoters, and funny enough, the interest is very, very low about doing it, becoming underground again, exclusive.
Okay.
Maybe even raise the bar a little bit as far as, you know, financial means, or, you know, how much you invest into the party, and look at find a crowd that fits the, you know, the needle kind of thing. I don't know if you.
No, I completely understand where you come from. That's one way to look at it, or one way to approach it. But I mean, for me, like coming from New York in the very beginning, and I used to go out downtown because I worked in television for a few years.
Yeah.
And regardless of how much money I had in my pocket, some places I just couldn't get into. I came to Stockholm, and I didn't really, like, I was working in television, and I didn't really feel comfortable going out with the people that I worked with. Like, they would go downtown, Stureplan, and these places, and often, like, we would all go together, and if I wasn't with them when we were going inside, I would have a problem getting in because the guards wouldn't let me in. This happened many, many times. You know, like, I go there, and often I was second in charge on my production team. So basically, I think it's probably the second most money, if not the most money, of everyone that we work with. And then, but regardless of how much money I had in my pocket, people wouldn't let me go spend it in their club. I've had trouble at Spy Bar. I don't know if that still exists anymore. Studio Company. I've had trouble at. I had trouble. Really had like the last place that I went to where I felt like, okay, now I'm done with this whole area of town, was one day I went to this place, Mira or something like that it was called. It's like around the corner from Studio Company. And I was working on a reality show. So all the contestants, all the production team was inside the bar already. And I knew I was going to get there a little later than them. So I made sure I put on nice clothes. I even had like shoes on, not boots or sneakers. I had regular dress shoes on. Had a nice shirt on, my best jacket. I think I had maybe 5,000 crowns of cash in my pocket at that time. Went down to this place, and the guy looks at me, he goes, sorry, members only. So I say to him, I know for a fact there's at least 10 people in there that aren't members that you've let in. So while me and him are having this conversation, all those people come outside. So I put him over to the side, and I had just come from New York at that time. So I still had all my New York ID and all the rest of this. So I pull out my university ID and I give it to him. I'm like, look, I'm university educated. You know, I grew up in New York City. Here's my driver's license from New York. Had my job ID. So I show him my job ID. I'm like, I work on this production. It says, you see what it says there? It says Technical Operations Manager. I'm in charge of all these people you see standing here. When we go to work,
one that makes the decisions. You know what I mean? Took the 5,000 out of my pocket. I was like, I got 5,000 crowns in my fucking pocket. I look at him, he looks at me, he goes, sorry, but you just don't fit in. I'm like, what you mean don't fit in? You know what I mean? He was like, I actually shook his hand. I was like, thank you. That was the first person that ever told me straight up to my face that I'm not getting it because I'm black. Somehow we ended up going to this party. I think it was like a Monday or Wednesday down in Maria Toria, not so far from me actually. And I had met these guys through very strange circumstances that we don't need to get into right now. And I went there to meet them. I think my friends were playing the drums, that's what it was. He was playing the drums at this place. So I went with him to just see what this club was like. And I had never really heard like trance or like really hard techno before. When we went down to the basement, I was just like, wow, what is this music? I think I drank like 3 Red Bulls. I was like full of energy and fucking dancing my ass off. You know what I mean? And really like just losing myself in that. And the thing that I found so interesting is that up to that point, it's like every time I went out, whenever I met new people, they would always ask me, where you from? I had dreadlocks too back in those days. Like, where you from? How'd you get here? And all this stuff. No one asked me that the whole night. No one asked me who I was or nothing. It's like, just that feeling of anonymity was nice for me. So I started hanging out with these guys and going to lots of techno parties, and then eventually we started doing parties because a friend of mine, Ula Mortensen, he started with this socially hazardous thing. And then it was like outdoor parties or just parties out in the woods somewhere. And they always wanted someone to play like the alternative floor, like the chill out floor, it used to be like that. So I would go and, play some old funk or some rock and, mix all together, some trip hop and stuff like that. And then after a while, because then it was trance on the main floor and then really like metal music, psychedelic stuff on the other floor. And then after a while, it became a little bit like there was too much of a difference between what was happening on the main floor and what was happening in chill out. It was like a little bit boring, it felt like. So I started playing a little bit more housey, a little bit more techno tracks and stuff like that. And then the general shift in the crowd or shift in the culture, the mood in the town started changing away from trance and more towards techno.
Keeping the beauty we see in the openness that we had. Yeah. Environments change. Yeah. And our environment is changing rapidly. Yeah. If we want to stick to the old ideals, which full openness, we're going to be affected. If we change our mentality, we're still going to be affected, but we can probably isolate the effect.
But don't you think it'd be a bit more maybe productive if the people organizing the parties would demand more of their guests?
Yeah, but the problem is that some of the guests that we get, they are not coherent. For a dialogue to exist, you have to have 2 parties involved in it, and they have to be a willingness to agree or to come to a certain, diplomacy.
Okay.
And with diplomacy, it's always like, it's not fully what I want, it's not fully what you want. There's always like a halfway go between.
There's a compromise at some point.
There's a compromise, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting that you said that because, I mean, my whole thing about the scene, like I said, has always been try to get as many people involved, but involved at with an understanding that when you're here, this is what's expected of you. And kind of have that enforced both from the way you plan the event, both from the way you advertise the event, and from literally saying to people when they get there, hey, this is what's expected of you. Because for me, I came from New York, I had that New York attitude. There's girls that, chasing after girls and looking, just a bit of a different attitude. But then, going there and seeing all the people and people talking to me say, hey, this is not what's accepted. You know what I mean? Granted, now it's maybe the crowd is a little bit too big and there's too many people for the organizers to go to each individual person and say this. But I think, my thing is we have to find another solution besides being exclusive.
Yeah, but I'm not saying there is no room for both to exist. It's just about maybe you do one party that is more, exclusive, and maybe you do other parties that are. This will naturally, there will be a natural evolution of this, like everything else. We will see the change in the scene, whether we want it or not. I think the only thing it's like I think it was Einstein that said it. The only thing that is totally certain is change. Change is always going to happen.
Okay. There's a specific situation I wanted to ask you about. Maybe about a few years ago when Aftermath was still going at the big location.
Yeah.
There was a girl that overdosed.
Yes.
I was somehow involved in that because a friend of mine came to me and was like, oh, can you help? But Anthony has specifically told me to stay out of situations like that.
Okay.
So I don't know what happened to her. Do you know what happened to this person?
Yeah, actually I do. I was standing, funny enough, let's take this. Kulturgården was working under a license where we could dance and not sell alcohol. So we sold 3.5% alcohol, folköl. Which technically means you could have a dance party 24/7.
Yeah.
Be as it may, that night the venue was rented out to a different promoter, of whom we usually don't talk nowadays. They did their party anyway, and I was standing outside talking to the police, because the police used to come by and visit and talk to us, because we were working as ordningsvakter. And all of a sudden I get on the radio, can you come in here please, fast? I say, yeah, okay. I'm going in and I see this woman on the floor. And there's a few people in there. Somebody's trying to do some kind of resuscitation, not really knowing what to do.
Wow.
So I just rip off my jacket, throw on the radio, and say, get the cops in here now, because they have one of those heart starters, Mm-hmm. And I just get on her and I start just, doing CPR pretty much. Luckily enough, Odin, Anthony's wife at the time.
Odin, yeah.
She came in, and she's also, we're both divers, so we always talk about diving, but she's higher in the scale of diving than I do, so I know also she has CPR. Instead of me changing, going to the mouth, so I just, I straddle the chest and I do the compressions, and then I count and I release, and she does the inhale, and her friend is just standing there and she's kind of panicked, which I understand. And I'm like, does she have any blood diseases? I'm trying to find metric data. What has she taken? How much has she been drinking? Does she eat any medication? I'm just trying to figure out as much as I can, medicinally about this person, because I know these questions are going to come in, and we can't, try to figure that out once the medics come. So the cops come in, and they get their heart,
defibrillator.
Yeah, the defibrillator out, and it's one of those automated. And it's so bizarre, because I remember the tension is up here, and Anthony's just standing there looking like a statue. And I was like, Anthony, just leave the room. You're not doing any good right now. I have a lamp, the light is on, because it was kind of dark when I got in there. I got a lamp in, I told somebody, get me a lamp now, and so it was uplit, everything was moved to the side, she's on the floor, there's saliva and foam leaving her mouth, She's not convulsing or anything. She's just like still, and it's just I just had this feeling. It's like I could feel her life leave her body. I can't describe it. I can't quantify how or why. It's just that all of a sudden you knew she was dead. From when the cops and the cops come in, they put this defibrillator on her, and it's so funny. The voice starts speaking, and it's like, "Lämna kroppen," like move away from the body, don't touch it, and it's this really calm computer voice with a artificial female kind of sounding voice telling you what to do, and like, we're now going to administer electronic pulse, and it's just like everybody's like having their attention up here. It's just you still hear the music outside, and it's weirdly kind of lit like in a horror movie. You have like a flashlight on her, and everything else is just dark and kind of red. And you have this really calm, tranquil voice telling you instructions, don't touch the body, and you just hear that. It's so bizarre, and it comes back to me once in a while. And it was actually, it's funny enough because you go to those CPR training courses, first aid and whatever, and a lot of people just sleep through them pretty much. They do what they do half-assed.
Just to certify yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But there was one instructor one time that said something. He said, I want you, when you do this live, I want you to do every effort you can. Because somebody was asking, when should I stop? And he said, don't stop. Do it until the paramedics come over. Because if you stop at some point, you're always going to question yourself, did I do enough? He said, I want you to pass out. And now I didn't pass out. But I know I did my best, my darndest, and my hardest, and I have no regrets. I can actually wake up in the morning and I have no regrets, no buts, no ifs, no nothing, no thought that I didn't do my best. Okay. And I think I'm very grateful for that. I'm sorry, it got really long now.
No. But how did it turn out? Did she get revived? Or?
She did die. She passed, yes. There's been a lot of reputation what actually happened. So, what I've heard and I put together kind of, I might be wrong, but it turns out she had a girlfriend, and that was not the woman there, but they were just friends. But from what I understand, this girlfriend left a letter kind of on Facebook, where she as I understand it, she tried to take her life recently before. She was not feeling well. She had like an issue with her mental state at the time, depression, and she had taken all kinds of things. The list of, I can't remember exactly, but I was amazed of all the stuff that she'd been taking under the evening that her friend told me. And this is also, I don't get it. If you're a friend and you're with your friend and she takes an E, right? Mm. She takes an E. Yeah. But when she takes 3, 4, because the height of ecstasy, obviously, but the millennial shift when Mitsubishis were out, Dogs Bollocks and stuff like that, they were at 80 grams, milligrams. I mean, yeah. And now they're like 300, 600, 1,000. They're not made to be eaten as one pill. They're divided because it's like one dose. Yeah. Why they did this is, one, this is a competition. Yeah. 2, if I get caught with one pill, it's not for intent to sell. If I get caught with 10 pills, it's not intent to sell. Yeah. But if I get caught with 100 pills, it's intent to sell. But if I have 10 doses in one pill, guess what?
Now you got 100 pills in 10.
Exactly. And that's what they're getting off on. Yeah. So people just go like, I don't feel anything, and just I'll take another one. It's like that scene out of The Wolf on Wall Street. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
When he eats the lemons?
Yeah. And they freak. Ow.
Yes. And it just becomes too much. And not just that, there's more for all intents and purposes, I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs. I'm not even keen or interested in trying drugs. But I read a lot about it. And I talk to people about it, obviously, that do drugs. And, I think I have a pretty good comprehension on what to do and what not to do, kind of thing. And when it comes to this scene, there's always going to be drugs in it, because it's always been, because of the music, because of what.
I think in every party situation there's drugs involved.
Yeah.
Whether it's rock and roll, whether it's hip hop, whatever.
Yes. I mean, tell me a 70 artist that died prematurely, that did not die of an overdose. Obviously, music and drugs are related somehow. Creativity,
plane crashes and car crashes and stuff like that. But
yeah, probably due to drugs. but pretty much, so there's always going to be there, and I think the world gets to get in tune with, instead of what we do here in Sweden. We when I came into the scene, I was like really against it.
yeah.
I'm not for it today, but I have an acceptance for that it exists. And I think we're looking at the problem at the wrong way from the government side. I think we need to, I'm not saying like let everything go, don't do Portugal maybe, but do half Portugal. Because we're not seeing results. We're actually seeing results obviously, but not good ones. So I think we need to reconsider, out of a authority standpoint, how to deal with it. I don't have a solution, obviously, or I don't have a suggestion for a solution, but it needs to be done at some point. The rest of the world is moving. Why do we want to stand still?
I agree with you 100%. I think something needs to be done. I'm just not sure what. We take a break there.
Yeah.
We switch to something else. You're still watching the 5T podcast, Techno and Talk, Tuesdays and Thursdays of the time. I can't even say name on the show. Be back in a second. Stay single, bitches. That's right. Oh no, that's not right. Because he is a bear, and it is a bear. Bears eat people, so. That's true.
Yeah.
This is the man known as the mayor or the governor of Snösätra, always running around with his cowboy hat and his fun attitude, showing people what to do and when to do it. Legend. Recognize.
Subject before, I'm sorry. Somebody comes up to me and says, there's a man running around with shit all over his body. And I'm like, excuse me?
What?
And I'm like, yes. And I go, okay, would you mind explaining this, please? And he goes, well, there has to be. So what do you mean there has to be? The toilet is broken. I said, what do you mean the toilet is broken? He goes, come with me. And we go to this little toilet in this lunch restaurant, makeshift nightclub type of thing that we used to be in a lot of times. And I just open the door and I just close the door and I realize he's got, to be honest, he's telling the truth. Because when I open the door, I'll see a broken toilet. And there is water, there's feces, there's everything on the floor. And it's just porcelain. So somebody has obviously been standing on the toilet for some reason. Don't know why you would do that, unless you thought you were like in Thailand or something and doing a Japanese Asian type of toilet style.
Yeah.
And the toilet obviously the porcelain has broken, and he must have fallen into it, and because you can see like handprints and stuff like that, getting up on the walls. So I go out and I just see this crowd of people in this rather poorly lit room, and I'm like, how am I gonna find him? And they're like standing really dancing really tight, and I'm like, and I'm just going out there. And for all, you've been to a party, so sometimes there can be smells, sweat, smoke, it can be all kinds of stuff, and I'm just like, oh, human feces, I feel this, and I'm just looking, and I just take up my flashlight and start shining on the legs of people, and I see the guy, he's got wet legs, he's got a white shirt, and it's just covered in the back. And I'm like, you're coming with me. And he goes, what? I said, you're coming with me. And he goes, and his friend comes, he's like, why? I was like, he's dipped in feces. He's coming with me, and he's coming with me, and he's just covered in it. And I'm like, I can't have you here. We gotta wash you down. He's like, what? He's just so gone, he doesn't even realize it.
He didn't even notice he was covered in shit?
I don't know if he noticed or not.
Oh my god.
And it's just one of those stories that is just like, it's just too much. It's
I mean, this is exactly what I wanted to interview you, because I know it was like, you've been to more parties than most people. You go there to go work, so it's like, when we go out and party, maybe Friday night, stay home Saturday, you're out Friday and Saturday working, and you remember all this stuff because you're sober all the time.
Sometimes I maybe should write that dictionary, like a book or something.
Oh yeah.
Man, there's a few weird things that just happen all the time. But this guy, he was just like, I didn't break the toilet. Look, how could you not break the toilet?
There's evidence all over you.
And he was just like standing there, like blatantly, like, no.
It wasn't me. Check the other person that's covered in shit.
Oh man.
Oh my god, that's so bad.
And the funny thing is, I recognized him. I've seen him in other parties. I have not seen him in a party since, though.
Oh, I can imagine.
So if you're out there, sorry, man, you're missing out.
It's not your fault.
Yeah, it's his fault. He's standing on the toilet.
But you said that you work mostly with the underground parties, but what have you been doing now with the Corona vibes and all this Corona madness?
Well,
how have you been surviving?
That's kind of funny, because I have another company where I work with vapes, e-cigarettes.
Okay.
And I've been doing that for quite some time. And honest to God, I have not been lifting any salaries from it, because I've just been growing the business. Yeah. Money coming in, money putting out.
How long have you been doing this?
It's my second company kind of thing. The first one, let's put it this way. The first one was a POC, proof of concept.
Okay, there you
POC. And I realized that retail in itself, with stores, multiple stores, building a chain, it had problems I didn't think would be problems. Mainly staff, stuff like that. It's hard to find dependable people, I realize. When it comes to regular jobs like that. In my guard sector, I don't have a problem finding dependable people, because I've always surrounded me with people that I can trust, kind of. But they also have regular jobs and regular lives, and they don't want to stand working in a shop. I understand that. So, and it was kind of special. Vape is a small segment, so you need some basic skills about vaping. They're not hard to get, but still skills you need. And I find that people that want to work in the vape shop, they think it's about sitting on a couch, playing guitar, and sell 1 or 2 vape models per day, which is not, keeping a store takes time. Maintenance, it's cleaning, it's all those things that it's not fun to do.
Do you have a physical location, like an actual shop?
No, I don't anymore. So we started distribution. So I sell from a website, but I mainly sell to other shops.
Okay.
So I'm a distributor. And now I'm actually in the works talking to a FMCG chain.
FMCG?
Fast-moving grocery, FMCG, fast moving consumer goods. That's what it stands for. So hopefully in this spring, summer, I will have a product coming out in over 200 stores.
Okay.
And that's when I told myself I'm going to lift my first paycheck.
Yeah. So.
Long way, long road. Once again, very eventful, very experienced. Building experience, getting that. But as you said, working as a guard, that's been like my dependable income. Yeah. And that was so funny because we were doing Bronx in Solna, that you were part of, and then we moved to the little yellow house where you were not still with us, but we had like parties all the time until New Year's Eve.
Yes.
And after New Year's Eve, that was even before Corona. This is the last party we're doing here, and then I became like a vacuum, and I didn't work actually for 6 months.
Wow.
That was tough. That was really tough. I know me and my girlfriend were looking at what can we do, and I always been productive. I always been finding ways to make money, selling metal scrap, which I used to actually sell to one of them over here before. And I do work hard for my cash, my money. That I don't mind doing that because it's work ethics is something I was taught since I was a kid, And now in all this new pandemic, after there was a few parties in the summer, so we did that kind of weirdly. It worked out anyway. Now I started a laughing gas business where I deliver N2O to people's houses.
Nitrous oxide.
Yeah, nitrous oxide.
Fantastic.
So I have a delivery service Fridays and Saturdays that we drive out between 9 o'clock in the evening to 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And we also drive in the weeks, but you have to come to an agreement with us. So we have a website with it, chat and everything. So it's really professional compared to a lot of the other players out there. Okay. And people are like, oh, how far do you drive? I drove to Norrtälje on Wednesday to deliver some laughing gas to some guy at home. I don't know what he did with it. Probably a big cake with a lot of cream, but No, but so I was actually driving until 5 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
And I'm driving tonight again.
Okay.
So we did that. It was called Lustgas.se.
Okay. We'll put a website.
Yeah. I have a little logo and stuff I can provide you with.
Definitely.
As you saw in the car, it's like one of those things.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now, and everything is like. We're one of the few that don't take cash. We only take card and swish. So everything goes into a regular company, and everything is like
completely legit.
Completely legit. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a legit guy. You gotta do it like that.
Yeah, it's too much a risk not doing it. So
fantastic.
Cool.
I think we're at a good spot now.
Thank you.
We can leave it there. Fritte, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It's really interesting. I'm sure we'll do it again because I'm sure you got a bunch of other stories. But it was nice to sit down with you and kind of talk this way.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks,
really.
Yeah. Cool. 5T Podcast, Techno and Talk on Tuesdays and Thursdays with Ty. See you soon, or stay tuned for more, or something.
I don't care. I really don't care. It's time. Like, this show, the podcast is supposed to be most about the techno scene and all the rest of that stuff. But I particularly call it Techno and Talk. Because I think that it's important for us just not focus on the music. We need to focus on things that are important to the people that are doing those things. People that are going to those parties. You know what I mean? If there's some law being passed that needs to be discussed, because these people are voters too. They vote in Sweden. If there's some rule going on in Sweden, but now like all this Corona stuff, I'm sure people want to talk about that and all the rest of that. So you leave room for that. Maybe someone that they respect within the scene will say, "Hey, you're being an idiot," and they'll actually listen. So I want to leave that space open where we can discuss things that are either culturally relevant or relevant to society or just relevant to us as a community. Not just, oh, we're gonna go party and I'm gonna lose some fans. I'm going to lose some people that's not going to be supportive with me because they can't deal with what I have to say. And I'm okay with that. When I first came into the scene, there was this love and, you know, this love vibe, this community vibe, this we're all in this together vibe. We're going to take care of each other. Someone passed out in the corner, we're not going to, oh, I guess he's passed out or she's passed out. We're going to go over and check on them. Make sure you're all right. You know what I mean? That's the type of world I'm going to help to create. And these ideas take us further and further away from that. You know, being racist, being homophobic, being anything. I called out a friend of mine that I knew for 15 years on the internet because he was being fucking homophobic. He was being racist. He accused me of not hanging out with enough black people. He accused me of being in a hot tub with only guys. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why is this, first of all, relevant to you, what I do with my life? Second of all, so what if I was gay? So what? And then his response was, I have gay friends. I was like, don't you, this is what white people saying about black people all these years. Every time you accuse me, oh, I have black friends. So that don't mean you can't be racist because you might happen to hang out with someone who is the thing that you're racist or sexist or chauvinist against. You deal with them, but you don't approve of their lifestyle like you have any right to be fucking judge them in the first place. You know? I'm very angry about these things. But I'm happy I get a chance to actually let it out in front of a camera where someone's recording me saying this. So I can put it out there so people fucking know how I feel about this. It's time we stop wasting time. If you want to waste your time, waste your time. Don't waste my time. I don't need to be invited to your groups. I don't need to see your fucking stupid posts. I don't need to see your fucking stupid pictures. I don't need to see any of that shit. If you want to still be friends with me, block me from seeing all that shit. But anytime I see you posting no stupid shit, I'm going to challenge you on it. Granted, like I said, I'm a human being. There's a chance I'm going to be wrong. But I'm still going to go for it because I know I'm on the side of right. I'm on the side of bringing us together. And you're not. I think it's I want to sound like I'm smart by quoting Einstein. But he said the person that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. You constantly have to reassess yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I know that racism is never good. Separatism is never good. It's never good to separate things. Those things I can hold on to. But every once in a while, if we're talking about a particular issue, I might rethink it. But if it goes against those ideas that I know that racism isn't right, and separatism isn't right, then I have to go back to that ground. You know what I mean? I know that I don't know nothing, so I'll rethink, I'll challenge myself. I challenge my ideas. I wait a minute before I actually respond to things sometimes. I'll wait 2-3 days. If something makes me really angry, I feel really involved, I'll be like, okay, hold on a second, let me rethink this. I'll take 2 days, 3 days, 4 days sometimes before I'll be like, you know what? I've been rethinking this, and you are still fucking wrong. You know what I mean? But I try not to just get caught up in my own shit too much. I think you have to know that you don't really know everything. You have to understand that you're one human being and you're limited to certain things. You have to rethink everything. You have to challenge your own ideas first and foremost, before you can challenge everybody else's. And I've done that so many times. And I don't talk about politics in general. I don't talk about how do you say, like particular, what's it called, policy things. You know, I don't talk about like if this person wants to raise taxes or lower taxes or this, but it's not really, I don't know what's the best way with those types of things. But I know that it's wrong to be racist. There's never, ever, ever a time where like, okay, that racism was good racism. You know, that separatism was good separatism. It was good that you fucking killed that person. Those ideas are never good. So if it goes against those basic things, don't be racist, don't be fucking sexist, don't be an idiot in general, then I know I'm alright. You know, if someone's showing you a picture where they're showing you a picture of a fucking crowd and another person showing a picture of another crowd, and this crowd to you looks smaller than this crowd, I'm gonna say this crowd is smaller. I don't give a fuck who this is. You know what I mean? I don't care who's telling me what. If you're telling me something that I think is untrue, I'm be like, oh bro, sorry, I love you, but talking shit. I got eyes. You know, there's a thing with Donald Trump. He tells the story of, you know, the snake and the woman. where a woman finds a snake in the garden and the snake is hurt, and the woman is thinking about taking the snake home. The snake is like, oh, please take me home. And the woman's like, yo, when you get healthy, you're just gonna fucking kill me. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So the woman takes the snake home, takes care of fucking the snake get healthy, the snake bites the woman. The woman listens to the snake and goes, what happened? Why'd you bite me? He said, I'm a fucking snake. You knew who I was when you brought me in your house. This is how I feel about this person. This is how I feel about what's happening in the world. We should recognize that some things or some people are dangerous, some things are not worth putting our time and our energy into. Regardless if it makes us feel bad being, cutting people off or staying away from certain ideas. Sometimes for your own benefit, for the benefit of the world in general, some shit has to just be left behind. If my mother that's racist, I'm gonna fucking challenge her on that. My mother used to work for a company in the States. She worked there for like 10, 12 years. I'm sorry if I'm embarrassing you with the story, Mom, but it's true, and I'm just trying to show you that I love you and I'm trying to say stuff. But she worked for this company, and they wouldn't give her a promotion because that promotion required her to speak to people, like to speak to the customers. My mom has a bit of a Jamaican accent. Not the thickest in the world, but she sounds Caribbean in some ways. She went to the interviews. They were like, no, we're sorry, we're not going to be able to give you this job because we think the customers won't be able to understand you because of your accent. A bit of an exaggeration, but that was the excuse they gave her. She came home, she was angry. These fucking white people, I wish I could just get a fucking hand grenade and throw it in that office. I think I was like 12. I was like, Mom, you can't say that. You can be angry at those people that's there because they did that to you. You can't be angry at all white people. You don't just go kill random white people because these people did something to you. This is my mother and I'm 12 years old. I've been that person since then. I'm gonna stay that fucking person now. None of these idiots are gonna fucking make me think any way different. Black, white, purple, pink, friend, no friend, lover, no lover. You say some stupid shit, I'm gonna check you on it. I'm not checking you on whether you like purple or pink. I'm checking you on whether you fucking are a decent human being or not. And it's very easy to decide who's a decent human being. Very easy. It's not that complicated. It's never good to be racist. It's never good to be hurtful. It's never good to be chauvinistic. The simple things. You look at the bigger picture. When I was younger, I listened to a lot of Public Enemy, a lot of, different rap groups that, from time to time, they could express ideas that one might call racist. In some situations, they group people into one thing. I never supported those ideas. I felt like, in a way, blessed that I got exposed to them, but I never went down that road. I went to university. I didn't go to an all-black university. I went to a university where I wanted to meet as many people from all over the world as possible. When I was there, one of my best friends, he comes to me, he goes, yo, man, I see you hanging out with all these white girls. I wish I could hang out with those white girls too, but, I'm scared of what people's gonna think about me. I was like, niggas, you crazy? What's wrong with you? You gonna let what people think about you decide what you do in your life? You stupid. I got married to a white woman. I moved to Sweden. Most of my friends now are white. It's not because they're white, it's because those are the people that are around me that I have the best connection with. They could be fucking aliens for all I care. Only thing that matters is how they make me feel when I'm around. Nothing else. I'm not trying to elevate my status by hanging out with certain kinds of people. It's bullshit. Hang out by myself. I'm happiest alone. If I have a choice. I don't care. Sorry for being angry. But I never get a chance to say stuff like this in front of cameras. I'm never get a chance to, because I'm not looking for fans. I'm not looking for fucking people that are just gonna be like, oh, I like what he says all the time. If you're looking at me saying some shit from time to time, you're probably gonna be at least a little bit uncomfortable about some of the shit that I say. That's how it should be. We have an obligation to challenge each other from time to time. Otherwise, we're never gonna get nowhere. Let's still be trying to challenge me with no racist shit, and no homophobic shit, and no stupid shit.